Hi there, welcome to my kitchen. If I don't know you personally, my name is Emily Dowling and I am a certified fast weight fat loss coach. And today I'm inviting you into my kitchen so that we can take a look at some macro manipulation. We're going to look at one meal plan and we're going to talk about the ways that you could use just one simple meal plan to fit our different days within the cycle. And before I do that, I'd love to tell you a little bit of my story. I discovered the Faster Way to Fat Loss in February of 2018, and this was on the heels of probably 10 to 12 weeks of really investing in trying to get healthy and lose some weight. I had 6 kids in about 8 years, and those last few baby pounds just were not going away. So I was eating really clean, I was working out, doing all the things that I knew to do in order to try and lose weight. And after about 12 weeks, I lost about 5 pounds, which was pretty discouraging for me because I really felt like I was on it. And about that same time, I noticed my friend, Amberly Devers, who some of you guys know, was getting smaller. And I thought, okay, whatever she's doing is working. And she was someone who had done Whole30 with me, and I had done it for 30 days and she had done it for 3. She was someone who would say, hey, let's try this thing. So I thought, okay, this is working for her and I need to check it out. I'm not a big spend a lot of money on myself. I'm not a big spend a lot of money on a fitness program. So I knew it was something I was going to have to really believe in. Started looking into it, mentioned it to my husband. He said, well, why don't we do it together? So I said, okay. He left the room. I registered both of us. He came back in. And I said, all right, we're registered. And his eyes got really big and he was like, you did? So we started the Faster Way. We did it together, which was really great for us. I enjoyed having that accountability and having someone here in the house with me who was kind of doing all the same things I was trying to do. And after about 6 weeks, I signed up to continue. I felt great. I would say I had a big improvement in my digestion. I'd always struggled with headaches, and so those had diminished. And I thought, I feel great. I feel lean. I'm going to keep doing this. And then I stepped on the scale to try to figure out what my results were, and I was super discouraged because I had lost less than 5 inches, like 3-4 inches. I had lost less than 5 pounds. Now, I don't know why I thought that was such a big deal because it had taken me 12 weeks to lose 5 pounds, and then I did it again in 6. So obviously things were improving, but I still felt a little discouraged. And there were a lot of people in my round that were reporting 19 inches lost or 10, 12 pounds lost. So I stumbled into the next, few weeks thinking, why am I doing this? Is it really working? And it was really for me between weeks 8 and 10, something shifted and I started changing dramatically. In the second 6 weeks that I was doing the program, I lost double-digit inches, I lost double-digit pounds, and I felt so great. So I say now, I really think that I was a sugar burner. I spent a lot of years over-consuming carbs, under-consuming protein. That's just what I crave. And I think it took my body a little bit more than a typical 6 weeks to kind of reset. So after 8, 10 weeks, I really started to see the needle move. And I was so thankful I had stuck with it because it was tempting for me to just kind of bail after I saw those initial results. But really and truly sticking with it, I think made a big difference for me kind of moving onward. So I ended up with 20 total pounds lost, almost 20 inches total lost, and that truly felt amazing. So I just want to encourage you, I don't know where you are in your journey. You may be just jumping into VIP, you may have been here a while, but regardless, there's always progress to be made. And if you're a little bit frustrated with things that are moving slowly, just know it may be taking your body a little longer to adjust, and you may hit that rocket ship and take off here. So that is my hope for you, and that was one of the most encouraging things for me. But for today, I want to talk to you about what I'm going to call macro manipulation. And you have a piece of paper or a handout that you're welcome to look at. It's got all the numbers and kind of a general outline of some of the things I'm going to touch on here. But for the purpose of this menu, the goals that I set were approximately 1,700 calories. I figured that's going to be middle of the road, probably for a good number of clients. And I do have the breakdown at 45% carbs, 25% protein, and 30% fat. So my targets here are 106 protein, 190 carb, and 57 fat. And it's a lot of numbers, so I'm going to have to keep looking at my notes, if you'll forgive me for that. But let's start with a low carb day. So you know the drill on a low carb day. We're keeping it at 50 grams or less of net carbs. And we want to make sure, since we're eating less carbs, that we're filling in those calories with good fats. Now, I missed this in my first few weeks, and I was starving on my low carb days. But once I figured out how to add in extra fats, which was hard for me because I wanted to eat the carbs, once I figured out how to fill in those fats, I found myself more satisfied, and I didn't hate the low carb days quite as much. So hang with me if you're hating on the low carb. Maybe some of the ideas I'm going to lay out for you will help. But my basic menu, y'all, I know we do intermittent fasting, but I cannot give up the breakfast foods. I love, love, love my breakfast foods. So I still break my fast with eggs or some sort of breakfast food most days. So I've got an egg breakfast. I've got a salad lunch or kind of middle of the day meal, however it is you structure your meals, and then a spaghetti dinner. We've got 6 kids. Spaghetti is an easy dinner around here, and you can make it work any of the days of our cycle. So let's start with breakfast. On my low carb day, I'm going to have 2 hard-boiled eggs that I'm actually going to add some mayo to and make those deviled eggs. I'm going to additionally have 2 slices of bacon, and then I'm going to make myself a stack of these Birch Benders pancakes. If you haven't seen these, this is the keto mix. They have several different mixes, but I love the keto mix for a low carb day. It feels like you're eating a pancake, which is what I love, but it's low carb. Let's see, your net carbs on this is going to be 5 net carbs. I usually would mix this with water on a low carb day. So my breakfast is those 2 hard boiled, which will become deviled eggs, 2 strips of bacon, a stack of these pancakes, and actually I would add to this almond butter and regular butter, and then just the tiniest, I think I put in my macros a teaspoon of maple syrup, just to give it a little bit of sweetness, a little bite. That's not going to affect those carb macros too much, but it's going to still satisfy that desire for some syrup on those pancakes. So that breakfast is going to put me at 33 grams of protein, at 20 grams of carbs, and some of those are fiber, so they're going to go away later, and 52 grams of fat. Y'all, my target is 57 grams of fat, so I'm eating almost a day's worth of fat just with my breakfast. That's a lot of fat, but that's going to help keep me full and satisfied. Now, mid-afternoon, typically about the time my kids eat a snack, I like to have my lunch. So I would do, super easy for me, just a bag salad. This is one of my favorites. It's the Aldi version of their Southwest chopped salad. And most weeks I buy a rotisserie chicken, so I'm going to put some rotisserie chicken on top. That's a very basic kind of starting point. And then because it's a low carb day, I'm going to add a whole avocado, which is a lot of good fat, but also a lot of fiber. And my husband grows these peppers in our garden and then makes this olive oil that is delicious, that's a little bit spicy. So I love a drizzle, a healthy half tablespoon drizzle of this on my salad as well. It gives it a little kick. I can use a little less dressing, and this is going to make it a little spicy, which I love. I will also have with lunch half of a Perfect bar, and those are a little high on carbs to eat a whole one on a low carb day, but a little high on fat to eat a whole one on a regular macro day. So I would typically just do a half with my salad, and honestly that feels a little bit like dessert to me. So I've programmed in a half of a Perfect bar. Those macros for my lunch are going to be 43 grams of protein, 36 grams of carbs. Again, a lot of those are fiber, so they're going to get subtracted later, and 45 grams of fat. Really, really high, once again, on the fat. That olive oil and that avocado are really going to bump up that fat profile for me. And then usually either with that meal or sometime throughout the day, I'll have a tea or a coffee decaf if it's in the afternoon, or iced if it's warm outside, warm if it's cooler outside, and I'll add 2 scoops of collagen peptides to that. Now this snack is just straight protein. I like it because it's unflavored, and typically I would try and to add a little something else to a snack so it's not just protein. But on a low carb day, I'm okay with it being a protein heavy snack and not really having anything else in it. And that's an easy way to just bump up that protein without feeling like I'm stuffing myself with more food. Okay, so then dinner is going to be spaghetti. Now, I might fix pasta for my family, but on a low carb day, I'm going to use spaghetti squash is what I put in my menu here. I'm going to roast it with some olive oil, so that's going to bump up some fats. I'm also going to roast some broccoli. I love a little broccoli on the side. And then I'm going to make sure I choose a spaghetti sauce that doesn't have any added sugars. This still has a few carbs in it and some sugars, but those are just natural from the tomatoes. They're not added sugars. So just make sure you're checking your labels, especially on those low carb days. These kind of things can be tricky because they'll have carbs that you really don't need, and you really don't miss them if they're not in there. So for that dinner, oh, forgot to mention, with my sauce, with my marinara, I'm going to add ground beef, but I'm also going to add some ground sausage. That's another way to up that fat for the protein that's going to go in my marinara. So that will also, my dinner macros will also include a little bit of dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate every day of the week. This is an especially good one on a low carb day because it's got coconut, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds. There's about 12 carbs, in a serving, but 3 of those come off with fiber because of the coconut and the seeds. So this will be my treat for dinner. So for that dinner, the spaghetti squash with the broccoli and the ground beef and sausage, my macros are going to look like 24 grams of protein, 27 carbs, again, some of those are fiber and going to go away, and 30 grams of fat. So then for my whole day, where I'm going to land is I'm going to land at 108 protein. I've got 74 carbs, but 25 grams of fiber. So I'm going to subtract those 25 grams of fiber, and my net carbs for the day are 49 net carbs. And then my total fat for the day, y'all, this is a little mind-blowing, is 115 grams. It is a lot of fat, but I'm still going to be right at my typical calorie consumption because instead of consuming those calories and carbs, I've consumed them in fats instead. That's going to make sure I am not starving or ready to have a terrible headache because I'm so hungry and cannot feel satisfied. Now, when we get to our regular carb day, I can still have the same basic menu, but I'm going to swap it up a little bit. For my breakfast, instead of the deviled eggs, I'm going to use 1 whole egg, and then I'm going to use 2 egg whites. And I'm going to scramble that with some mushrooms and some spinach. That's going to add some volume, but also include some carbs in with that protein egg-based breakfast. And I love a little hot sauce on that as well. That's one of my favorite ways to break my fast. And then in addition to that, I'm going to add some oats. I love steel cut oats. These are the Aldi version. Trader Joe's has one just like this that I love as well. And I am not just going to have the oats. I'm going to add blueberries. I'll add a little bit of butter, a little bit of cinnamon sugar, and I love a sprinkle of chia seeds on top. And then where I had the 2 slices of bacon on a low carb day, I'm only going to have 1 slice of bacon on my regular macro day, just so that I don't use too many fat grams up right in that first meal of the day. So that breakfast, in addition, I actually added in a small serving of kombucha, so like 4 ounces of kombucha. I love that sparkling tea, especially with my breakfast. So that the macros on that breakfast are going to be 30 grams of protein, which again was almost identical to my low carb day. 66 grams of carbs. Now that one's almost double the carbs I had yesterday, and I'm not going to worry about the fiber. And then 20 grams of fat, which is significantly less. It's almost a third less. I mean, it's almost a third of the total I had with my breakfast on a low carb day. So we're changing out those percentages quite a bit. For lunch, once again, I've got the salad and the chicken. And for lunch on a regular carb day, I'm going to add an acai bowl to the side of my salad. I typically make these myself. I love this brand, Sambazon acai packets. But I saw these. I thought this might be easier to do the calculation. So this is an acai bowl. It's got some frozen fruit and some granola included here, and you just add it in. So with the salad and the chicken, my lunch is going to be 34 grams of protein, 58 grams of carbs. This one has quite a bit. I think it's over 20. Oh, no, sorry, over 50. It's right at 50. And 14 grams of fat. Going to be a little lower on fat because this acai is pretty low fat. So that's really nice. And then for my snack, I am going to have some of these pea crisps. I love these. They do have a little bit of protein, so it kind of feels like you're eating a chip, but you're also getting a little protein with it. And then I'll also have a banana. And this is something you could add to, if you didn't want to eat this many times in the day, you could add any of these things to other meals. It's just how I like to do it and how it works with our day and our flow and our schedule. And then, so that snack is another 4 grams of protein, 34 grams of carbs, and 3 grams of fat. And then my spaghetti dinner, once again, I've got my sauce, but tonight I'm going to add ground turkey to my sauce instead of the ground beef and sausage. That's going to keep it a little bit leaner. And I'm going to add some fiber and some carbs to my sauce with peppers. I love sauteed peppers in my marinara. My kids don't love it as much, but they'll get over it. And that's going to add some more carbs and also some more fiber. Even though we're not tracking the fiber, it's always good to eat a lot of it. And then I'm going to do it on this Banza chickpea pasta, which I really like. I think it's delicious. And a lot of times I can get it at Costco in the giant packs for much, much more cost effective. But it's 23 grams of protein in a serving of this pasta. So that's going to be a really protein-filled dinner, even though I'm eating pasta. And I think my numbers on that, let me see, were 41 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs, and 20 grams of fat. So on my regular macro day, I'm going to eat the same amount of protein. Once again, my protein total is 108. Now my carb total is 192, so much, 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 much higher. And we've got the fruit, we've got the acai, we've got a lot of things that are contributing to that carbs intake for us. And then I've got 57 fats. We've pulled those fats way back. We've reined it back down to 57. So that's going to put me a little bit more balanced on the fats. Additionally, we do sometimes also have a low macro day, and sometimes we have a feast day. So a low macro day is really easy. Few tricks: be sure you're hydrating really, really well, drinking lots of water. And if you find that cutting your calories or cutting your consumption a little bit is harder, you can wait a little later in the day to break your fast. For me, a low macro, really, it's about how much I like to eat. On the other days, sometimes I feel like I'm having to work at making sure I'm getting enough in, but I do like those low macro days. It's about 25% less in each of your macro categories. So my low macro days with the goals I set would be right around 74, 137, and 44. Those aren't exactly right. That's what my totals would be if I take that regular macro day and I just eliminate lunch. So if I eat all the same things I had on my regular macro day, the eggs, the oats, with all the toppings and fixins, I'll skip the salad and the acai bowl. Those will just go away. I still get to have my green pea crisps and my banana, and then dinner is still the pasta with the peppers and the marinara and the roasted broccoli on the side as well. Now for a feast day, and again, these happen sporadically depending on challenges we're doing or cycles that we're doing. So if you haven't seen these before, that's fine, but they may come up at some point as you're involved in a VIP. But a feast day, you're going to actually try to increase what you eat by about 25%. It is fun to get to eat that much, but it is work. It takes some intentionality. So if I were thinking about a feast day with this particular menu, I would have all the things I ate on the regular macro day. And instead of my snack, which was the green pea crisps and the banana, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add. So I'm essentially going to make it 4 meals instead of 3 meals and a snack. So I'll still have the banana, but I'm going to add some almond butter just to get some more calories in there with that. I'll have a bigger portion size of the green pea crisps. And then I'll use some gluten-free crackers or whatever, if there's something you like. I love to take some crackers with a spread of hummus, a little bit of turkey, a pickle, a tomato, and almost make like a little stacker, kind of like mini sandwich bites. So that would be almost like another meal and will bump up those calories by about 25% for me, which means that on my feast day, my macros are going to be, with that menu I just gave you, my macros are going to be right at 134 grams of protein, 222 grams of carbs, and 76 grams of fat. Still balanced, again, still at that 45, 25, 30 percentage, but I'm just consuming more volume-wise. And oftentimes those feast days will hit on our treat day as well. So if you include a treat in your feast day macros, that's great. Just remember to include it. Make sure you account for it. Figure out how you're going to work it in and make that treat work for you. So I hope this is helpful. I am so excited that you're here, and I wish you great success in your journey. Please feel free to reach out to your coach with any questions about this training or anything that's going on, and y'all have a wonderful day.